Well, I'll tell you in details exactly how we got together. It was 1933. If you remember, there was a frightful depression on in our country. Millions were unemployed. I was a dancer, and if you couldn't eat, you couldn't pay to watch a dancer. So there were no shows playing on Broadway. I think we had 5 Broadway shows, and they were running on paper. Just people passing out paper to go and see them, really. Well, what I'm getting at, I didn't have a job, I had no money, and I was living in a basement on 75th Street, and he lived on 72nd Street, in a very lovely home that was owned by Morgenthau, whose son was then the treasury of our country. I said to Abdullah in the month of October, late October, Ab, you know, I've been gone from Barbados for almost 12 years, but now I have a hungry desire, a haunting desire to go to Barbados. Not a thing stops me but the lack of money. I have no money. He said to me, you are in Barbados. I said, I'm in Barbados? He said, yes, you are now in Barbados. And so you see Barbados, and you can smell the tropical land of Barbados, see only the little homes of Barbados, and that's all you do. You just simply sleep this night in Barbados. Well, I thought him insane, really. I mean, at the moment, it seemed so stupid. Well, nevertheless, that night, I slept in Barbados. I assumed that I'm in Barbados, in my mother's home. And then I saw America, relative to Barbados, north of me, about 2,000 miles. Well, the next day, I didn't tell him anything. About a week later, when nothing happened, I thought I would approach him. This time, we've moved into November. I said, you know, Ab, there is not a thing has happened. He wouldn't discuss it with me. He turned his back on me and went into his little library and slammed the door. About 3 times I tried to open up the discussion with my friend Ab between that moment when I first talked to him and the end. He would never discuss it. On the basis, how can he discuss with me how I am going to Barbados when I am already in Barbados? That's stupid to discuss how I'm going to go when I am in Barbados. And if I am faithful to my assumption, I can't discuss the how. I am already there. Well, this went on. On the morning of the 4th day of December, there's no job, no place to go, and the last boat that will get me there, my Christmas, is going to sail on the 6th. Under my door is a little letter from my brother Victor. And he said, as a family, we were never around the table at Christmas together. He said, I know you don't have a job, and there's no excuse for not coming. And so I'm enclosing a draft for $50, and I've notified the Furnace Whitty line that you will come for a ticket. Well, I was so excited, I rushed on down to the Furnace line. They said, yes, we have a message here from your family in Barbados. We'll give you a ticket, but we haven't any first-class tickets left. You can go 3rd class and use the facilities of the first, but you have to sleep 3rd class until you hit the island of St. Thomas. Then you may take a first-class bunk. I said, I'll take it. I rushed right up to Abdullah. And I said, Ab, I have my ticket for Barbados, but I have to go 3rd class. And who told you that you went to Barbados 3rd class? You went to Barbados and you went 1st class. Would say no more. He isn't even happy that I'm going to Barbados now. So I went down on the morning of the 6th day of December with my 3rd class ticket. Went up to the desk as they're checking in the passengers, and I put my ticket forward. She said, I've got good news for you, Mr. Goddard. Someone has cancelled, and you're going 1st class. And I went 1st class, all the way down to Barbados. 10 days down, 10 days back, with 3 heavenly months in Barbados. So all that I did, I tried to the best of my ability with his, I would call almost insolence. He was rude. But he taught me by his rudeness that I cannot discuss how if I am doing what I'm supposed to do. He tells me right away, you are in Barbados. Like someone comes to you now, and you would apply this principle towards their request, and they say, oh, I would love to be happily married. And you say to her or him, you are now happily married. They look at you as though you're insane. But that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You are now happily married. Well, if I am now happily married and I'm a lady, I would instantly begin to feel that ring there in my imagination. I'd let others see that I have my ring, but that would imply I'm happily married if it's a wedding ring. And so if I don't wear it from then on, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So in my imagination, I have to go to bed wearing my ring. And actually do all that I would do in that state. Oh, he said, you were in Barbados. And I'm in New York City physically, but he put me in Barbados in my imagination. So that I slept in Barbados to the best of my ability. But you know, days go into weeks, and the weeks went into a month, and I'm trying my best to open up the discussion with him to get a little hope. No hope. He wouldn't give me any encouragement if I did what he told me to do. But we all are human enough to want another little discussion, another little push. And so he taught me the lesson that there is no such thing as a little pregnancy. No such thing. If you did it, then you're pregnant. Let the child grow. And interference with it is going to be a miscarriage. You assume that you are in Barbados. Now you're pregnant. The idea is you're going to give birth to a journey and which is going to land you right in Barbados. So you've assumed it. That is conception. Now, don't try to argue. You are conceived. And all you have to do is to be a faithful mother and bear that child. And don't discuss it with me anymore. He never discussed it after he told me I was in Barbados. And I learned so many things from the old fellow, teaching me all that he could teach me that I could absorb concerning the Kabbalah. And he and I would discuss day in and day out for over 5 years.